As we go through life, the allure of becoming our best selves is often hampered by habits and behaviors that make us less attractive. Why do we sometimes act in ways that turn people off? Could it be that in our desire to connect with others, we unintentionally adopt patterns of behavior that make us less appealing? Today we're going on a Stoic journey to look at 5 habits and behaviors that can make you much less attractive. This study isn't just about finding flaws, it's also about getting to the bottom of them and using the knowledge of Stoic philosophy to change them. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most important figures in Stoic philosophy, said that to live a happy life, all you need is to change the way you think. How often do we look to others for approval, happiness, or success when the source of these qualities lies within? Are we guilty of letting these bad habits define us, or are we ready to push ourselves to grow? Besides them, Stoicism, which has a long history of focusing on self-control, virtue, and understanding, can help us understand why these behaviors are seen as undesirable and how we can change our behavior to match the traits that people really like by following Stoic principles. We can learn to develop habits that will not only make our relationships better, but also help us live a happier, more peaceful, and more successful life. Let this journey be one of discovery, where the timeless wisdom of Stoicism shows us the way to our best selves. Are you ready to think about these habits and see how Stoic teachings can help you change them? Come with us as we explore the deep yet useful ways that Stoicism can help us get past the things that make us less beautiful and reach our full potential. Leave a comment if you're ready to start the journey today. Number 1. Brag. People often think that talking is a sign of needing approval from others instead of a sign of real self-esteem. Someone who constantly praises themselves too much not only makes themselves less attractive, but it also hurts real relationships. Stoic philosophy, which stresses humility and self-control, can teach us a lot about why talking is so bad. Think of Epictetus was a Greek Stoic philosopher who taught that the best way to find approval was to look inside yourself instead of looking for it from other people. He once said, "If you want to be loved, love." This simple but deep advice shows how the Stoics believe that people should control their own actions and attitudes instead of trying to control how others see them by bragging. Why do people brag? Is it a sign of pride or a cover for feeling insecure? Think about times when someone bragged. Did it make you want to be closer to them or push you away? We learn from Stoicism that real confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to shout its wins or make loud claims to get approval. Epictetus also said that what counts is not what happens to you, but how you deal with it. This is especially helpful for learning why bragging isn't attractive. It implies a reactive approach to self-esteem that depends a lot on how other people behave, which is hard to predict and usually only scratches the surface. Stoicism tells us to take charge of our self-worth by developing virtues like discipline, courage, and humility that don't change based on what other people think. So how can we use this Stoic wisdom to become more attractive, not just on the outside, but also in a deep and important way? First, recognize your own accomplishments without putting others down. Then, share your wins in a way that includes and values the work of others. Can you remember a time when someone shared their success in a humble way? How did that make you feel about that person? Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, gave advice that will never go out of style. The best way to get back at someone who hurt you is to be different from them. If someone's bragging made you feel bad, choose to be different. Choose humility over arrogance. Choose sharing over boasting. This will not only boost your self-esteem, but it will also earn you respect and admiration from others. Remember that bragging only drowns out the voice of true virtue. Let your actions speak louder than your words. As a Stoic practice, think about your daily actions every evening and ask yourself, were my actions today in line with the virtues I want to embody? How can I improve? By giving up bragging and embracing Stoic humility, you pave the way for a life full of real relationships and self-respect. This change not only makes you more appealing to others, but it also leads you to a life of happiness and inner peace. Remember that if you want to live a full life, let your deeds and virtues guide you, not your words. Number 2. Reactive. Reactivity, the tendency to react to situations without thinking them through, is a behavior trait that can make a person less attractive and less effective in life. Stoic philosophy, which puts a lot of emphasis on self-control and logic, can help people understand why this trait is bad and how to act more calmly. Think about the lessons of Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who was born a slave and went through a lot of hard times in his life. Despite these problems, he became famous for being incredibly calm and wise. Epictetus famously said that what counts in life is not what happens to you, but how you deal with it. In support of the Stoic idea that we don't have control over outside events but over how we react to them, why is being emotional seen as unattractive? Have you ever seen someone lose their cool in a tough situation? What was your first reaction to their outburst? Most of the time, uncontrolled reactions lead to negative judgments because people value people who can stay calm under pressure. For example, Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher who was under a lot of pressure on the battlefield and in his administrative duties. Despite these stresses, he is remembered for his philosophical meditations on how to stay calm and keep things in perspective when life gets rough. He said that you should have control over your mind, not outside events. Understand this, and you will be strong. The example of Marcus Aurelius shows that you can win respect and true leadership by staying calm and thoughtful no matter what is going on around you. How can you use these Stoic ideas to make your own life less reactive? Start by paying attention to how you react right away in different situations. What makes you act without thinking? Can you spot patterns? Stoicism teaches us to let our thoughts and feelings settle before moving, which is good for our relationships and our self-respect. The Epic of Titus also gives us useful advice. Don't just talk about your philosophy. Live it. If you live by a philosophy of calm and reasoned responses, you'll become more attractive and powerful on your own. Taking this approach doesn't mean stifling your emotions. Instead, it means controlling them in a way that fits your values and the needs of the situation. Now think about how switching from reacting to reflecting could change your life. What if you responded to an insult with understanding instead of anger? What if you didn't act on a desire right away, but instead took a moment to think about how it would affect you in the long run? By taking a less reactive and more reflective approach, you become more in line with Stoic virtues, which leads to a life that is peaceful and effective. This change not only makes you more attractive to other people, but it also makes you happier and more successful in your personal goals. If you want to be the kind of person who can handle problems with a calm and steady heart, try the Stoic practice of reflecting instead of reacting. This change will not only improve how others see you, but it will also make your life richer and more satisfying. Remember that the goal is not to feel less, but to let your feelings guide your actions less impulsively. By doing this, you embody the wisdom that has made Stoic philosophy a source of strength for hundreds of years. How do you deal with reaction in your own life right now? What methods have worked for you? Please share your ideas and experiences in the sections below. We'd love to hear how you use Stoic principles to deal with everyday problems. Number 3. Lack of ambition. Desire to. The word ambition makes you think of goals that you want to reach and often go beyond. But what does ambition really mean from a Stoic point of view? This old theory asks us to look at our drive and peel back the layers of our desires to find out what they really want. Is our ambition just a shadow that wants to be noticed by others? Or does it shine as a light that leads us to personal growth and moral living? Stoicism, a way of thinking that prizes goodness and self-control. Above all else, gives us a fresh look at what it means to be ambitious. Stoics like Seneca, who lived through the rough waters of Roman politics, remind us that real ambition isn't about how high we climb, but how deep we go as a person. Seneca's life and works can help people who are trying to figure out where their own ambitions come from. The temptation of power and status on the surface, along with sharp questions. What good is having a lot of books in libraries if the owner can't take in even one principle and make it his own? This question forces us to think about whether our goals lead to real learning or just become useless possessions that gather dust. When was the last time you felt truly fulfilled by an accomplishment? Was it the praise from others that made you feel good? Or did the knowledge that you had grown in some meaningful way warm your heart? Stoic philosophy tells us to choose the latter, creating goals that aren't based on the cheers of the crowd but on the steady growth of the soul. Another great figure in the Stoic school said it very well. First, tell yourself what kind of person you want to be, and then do what you need to do. This simple rule gets to the heart of Stoic desire. It's about picturing the good person you want to become and acting in a way that supports that image. The Stoic ambition is self-reflective and focused on strengthening oneself rather than conquering and collecting things. In today's world, ambition often means a never-ending search for more money, fame, and power. But Stoicism tells us to question these pursuits. Are they making our lives better or just more difficult? Are we chasing shadows instead of cultivating substance? A wise emperor named Marcus Aurelius said, "The only wealth you will keep forever is the wealth you have given away." His words have stood the test of time. His view encourages us to rethink ambition as a way to not only achieve personal goals, but also improve the lives of others. This rethinking not only raises our purpose, but also makes us more appealing as people who care about the common good. In your own life, how can you use your ambitions to not only move forward, but also help others along the way? How can your aspirations add to a larger tapestry of communal and personal fulfillment? By taking a Stoic approach to ambition, we encourage not a weakening of drive, but a deepening of it. We change our ambitions from self-serving pursuits into ways to express ourselves and help others. This change in thinking can lead to a happier, more peaceful, and ultimately successful life, where our goals reflect our deepest values and hopes. So let's choose to see our goals not as ends in themselves, but as means to a greater end, a life of virtue, wisdom, and genuine happiness. This is the real promise of Stoic ambition, not a trophy room full of accomplishments, but a soul strengthened by purpose and filled with service to others. Number 4. Being needy. How often do we feel like we need other people's support to feel valued or appreciated? This is called neediness, and it can really hurt not only our relationships, but also our personal appeal. Stoic philosophy encourages us to be self-sufficient and emotionally strong, encouraging us to look within for approval and a sense of independence that is both freeing and attractive. Think about Epictetus, who was born into slavery but rose to become one of the most influential Stoic philosophers. His teachings stress how important it is to depend on oneself for emotional and mental stability. He said that the only worthwhile goal in life is to ignore the things that we can't change. This way of looking at things makes us think about our own neediness. Do we need other people's approval to feel good about ourselves? Are we letting other people decide what makes us happy? Why is neediness seen as a bad thing? If one person in a relationship depends too much on the other, the dynamics of that relationship are likely to be unbalanced and unhappy. People usually want to connect with people who seem confident and independent, rather than emotionally dependent. Seneca's wise words are a powerful reminder that if you really want to get away from the things that bother you, you need to be a different person, not a different place. This statement encourages us to change on the inside instead of looking for approval from others. Instead of seeking approval from others, why not develop our own inner resources? How can you use Stoic ideas to get over your neediness? First, figure out where your self-esteem comes from. Is it mostly external, based on how other people see you, or is it mostly internal, based on things you recognize and choose for yourself? Seneca's life, which was full of political upheavals, shows us that true stability comes from within by showing us how to keep our ethics and inner peace even when things are uncertain in the outside world. Marcus Aurelius also talks about self-sufficiency, which means that you are in charge of your own thoughts and not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This strong insight tells us that we can keep our dignity and attractiveness no matter what by controlling our feelings and reactions. Think about how becoming more stoic might affect the way you engage with others. What if you worked on building your virtues instead of trying to get other people's approval? How would your relationships change if you were less needy and more able to take care of yourself? If you want to live a happier, more peaceful, and more successful life, accepting the Stoic virtue of self-sufficiency can be life-changing. This way of thinking doesn't mean cutting yourself off from other people. Instead, it means strengthening your emotional core so that when you connect with others, it's because you want to grow together, not because you need emotional support. We need to do something about this. Develop your inner fortress and let it be the source of your approval instead of looking for it elsewhere. Not only will this make you more attractive, but it will also help make interactions healthier and more balanced. Adopt the Stoic practice of self-sufficiency and see how it changes your life. As you become less dependent and more sure of yourself, you'll find that not only do your relationships get better, but so does your overall life satisfaction. What can you do today to begin the journey of becoming more independent and emotionally strong? Leave your plans and thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear about your work and new ideas. Number 5. Using self-deprecating humor. When used rarely, self-deprecating humor can help people be more humble and relatable. But when used too much, it can show low self-esteem and make someone look less attractive. How do we find balance, and what does Stoic philosophy say about this common social tactic? Think about Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who was a Stoic philosopher and was known for his deep reflections on life and government. He believed in the importance of self-awareness and authenticity, and he often wrote about the virtues of knowing oneself truly and presenting that self to the world without pretense. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, he said, implying that a demeaning view of oneself, even if it is justified, could ruin one's experience of life. Why might self-deprecating humor be appealing, and why is it risky? Have you ever made fun of yourself to make a situation lighter or to seem more approachable? This can make social situations easier for a short time. Putting ourselves down too much can become a habit that makes us feel worse about ourselves instead of making other people like us more. Stoic philosophy, which focuses on toughness and honesty, gives us a way to look at humor as a sign of our inner state epicus. Another famous Stoic taught that we shouldn't base our identity on how other people see us, but should instead build a strong foundation of self-respect and confidence within ourselves. He said, "What bothers us is not what happens to us, but what we think about what happens." It's important to think about what we're trying to achieve when we use self-deprecating humor. For a laugh, we think negatively about ourselves. How can we use Stoic principles to use humor well without hurting our self-worth? First, we need to be aware of what our humor is really for. Is it a shield to hide our real insecurities or a sword to break down social barriers? Getting better at fun, to have a style that lifts others instead of bringing them down, you need to be very self-aware and brave enough to be yourself. Think about how changing how you deal with humor might affect your relationships and how you see yourself. What if you focused on funny things that make you unique instead of funny things that point out your flaws? How might this change not only how other people see you, but also how you see yourself? If you want a more fulfilling and successful life, read the Stoic tips on equanimity and self-acceptance. Using humor in a healthy way can help you connect with others and build a stronger sense of who you are. This fits with the Stoic goal of living in line with your true nature, which leads to more peace and happiness. We need to do something about this. Think about how you use humor in your everyday life. Try to develop a sense of humor that shows a positive view of yourself and helps people connect with you in a real way. Remember that the goal is not to stop being fun, but to make sure that it grows in healthy ways. Positive self-talk and health. I adopt the Stoic way of thinking by changing your comedic expressions so that you don't use humor to put yourself down, but as a way to enjoy life's many challenges. Watch how this changes your relationships and your health in general. What can you do today to make your sense of humor more upbeat and healthy? Please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. We'd love to hear how you're using Stoic principles to find fun and joy in everyday life. as we look at the 5 mistakes we make that make us less attractive. Talk about not having any goals, reactive neediness, and too much comedy that makes fun of oneself. We now know not only what these habits are, but also how they have a huge effect on our lives and relationships. Philosophy of the Stoics shows us how to avoid these problems and behave in a way that earns respect, kindness, and real relationships. In the context of our talk, Marcus Aurelius said that the best way to get back at someone who hurt you is to be unlike them. Getting over behaviors that aren't attractive or make us feel good about ourselves requires us to show virtues that make our relationships and lives better. Each behavior mistake we've talked about is a chance to develop traits like humility, purposefulness, calmness, self-sufficiency, and a healthy sense of self-worth. Let us learn from these lessons and use Stoic wisdom to change not only how other people see us, but also how we see ourselves as we try for a life full of peace, happiness, and kindness. Don't forget that the journey starts. When we want to make changes in our interactions, we must first make changes in ourselves. Follow these Stoic rules every day and see how your life changes. Join the conversation and tell us how you're using these insights in your own life. Let's build a community that is committed to growth and virtue. If you find this chat deep and useful, please click the like button. Leave a comment with your thoughts and don't forget to share these deep philosophical ideas with everyone you know. If you're new, subscribe to our channel to get more deep Stoicism lessons that will help you grow. We'll see you in the next lesson.